after 8 rounds of negotiations, the threats of tariffs have been replaced by much friendlier talk between US and Chinese trade officials.
We have a great partner in the Vice Premier. He's become a good friend, and I think his commitment to reform in China is the reason that this has a chance.
I do think that because we got direct guidance by two great presidents, President Xi and President Trump.
Thank you very much.
And I will always feel your direct directions. Because your direct involvement, we do have great progress.
And US President Donald Trump says they're close to finalizing an unprecedented agreement.
There can't be a deal like this. No matter where you look, there can't be a deal like this. This is the granddaddy of them all. And we'll see if it happens. It's got a very, very good chance of happening. I think that it will be great for both countries. But it will be a much fairer deal for us because over the years we've lost a lot of money to China.
Washington wants Beijing to make it easier for foreign companies to sell their products in China. It's demanding tougher enforcement of laws protecting intellectual property and an end to rules that force international firms to transfer their tech know-how to Chinese partners. Striking a deal would help China avoid higher US tariffs, but it doesn't want to endorse any unilateral measures imposed by Washington, so officials are still deliberating over their intended agreement.
The two sides have discussed the relevant texts of the agreement and made progress, which has created favorable conditions for the 9th round of high-level economic and trade consultations.
Some analysts say by the time President Xi and Trump do sign a deal, it may be worded so vaguely that both sides will be able to claim a diplomatic success. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
For more on this, Santosh Rao joins us now from New York. He's head of research at Manhattan Venture Partners. Welcome back to the program, Santosh. Donald Trump, as we heard, says he expects the, quote, granddaddy of all deals to be signed in the next 4 weeks. Do you believe that the two sides are, in fact, closer to signing a deal?
Well, we've been here before. It felt like it was almost done last time. So I think there is some disconnect between the urgency that Trump has and the negotiators, on the other hand, who are working out the details. So I think Trump has really left it open. Originally, he said, they are going to have a summit. Now he's saying they're not. And the negotiators don't want a deadline, a commitment that will put pressure on them, and China can just kind of play that against the U.S. So I think they want to leave it open, let it go as long as it is needed, but they want a deal in the end that's enforceable and really goes to the heart of this whole thing, which is intellectual property rights and leveling the playing field.
Yes, let's talk
and enforcing the laws.
Yes, of course. Let's talk more about this timeline, though. As you say, in the early days, the US president seemed like he was very desperate to reach a deal, setting these arbitrary deadlines on China, threatening to further escalate the trade war with Beijing if they didn't meet those deadlines. But now he seems to be a bit more relaxed. Why do you think he's doing that now?
Yeah, I think he feels he has leverage on his side. At this point, I mean, he ran on a platform that said that he's going to be tough on China. He's not going to compromise. We've had this thing back and forth with China. We make these talks, we do these deals, and China doesn't enforce it. In the end, we are back to square one. So he ran on the saying that on the platform that he's going to be tough. So if he doesn't get anything done, he can always say that, hey, I'm doing my thing. I want this thing done. I want to be tough on them. So he has a play there as well. But on the other hand, if he can get it done, if both sides can claim victory to some extent, to a large extent actually, that's good. And there is a fine line. It can be done. I think there is, the wordings have to be figured out. And China doesn't want to be seen. China doesn't want to come across as someone who was pushed around. US doesn't want to come across as someone who was played, and again, kind of the whole thing falls apart after a few years. So I think they're coming to a compromise there on that end. So it's more than just soybeans and other stuff. It's more about a long-term structural change in the way these countries deal with each other.
Yes, let's talk more about those issues. While Donald Trump has said that a deal could be signed in the next 4 weeks, the US Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer seemed a little less confident about it, saying that there were, quote, major issues left to resolve. What are those issues, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing is tariffs. China wants all the tariffs lifted. They don't want any pressure on that end. U.S. is saying no. They want to keep them on till they see some progress. So I think they're working that out. Then the intellectual property rights, the enforcement of it. I think they're working on that. I think from what I heard, they're moving further along on that end. I think those are the key issues. And then they don't want any technology transfer to China. U.S. doesn't want that through the Chinese companies, so they want to be strict about that. They want to enforce that. They want an enforcement mechanism there, and the U.S. also wants to be able to retaliate against China unilaterally if needed, and China is saying that can't happen. It has to be both ways. China should be able to do it. So from what I read, those are the sticking points right now. Looks like they can be negotiated, but I think US is this time, they're particular about getting it done, having it in print, and having an enforcement mechanism. I think that's what's taking so long. In the past, maybe they would have signed off on it by now, but now it looks like U.S. is saying, no, we're not going to rush this. We came this far, we came quite a bit of distance, actually. We have to just lock it in properly with a good enforceable mechanism.
And just quickly, Santosh, in light of what we know so far about these negotiations, who do you think has given more ground, the US or China?
Well, I think China is coming more towards the U.S. They have more to lose. They had more to lose about a month ago when their economy was really going down. Looks like they have stabilized, so their leverage, their bargaining position has improved slightly. U.S., I think, is strong. It has the strongest economy right now. It's growing very well. You just saw the numbers today. Unemployment was the lowest in a long time. So I think U.S. is humming along. So they have some margin to work with, so they can stay the course. I think China has more to lose, so they are working there. I feel overall, of the optics of it, China seems to be moving closer to what U.S. wants.
Interesting. Okay, Santosh Rao in New York, thank you for your insights, as always.